Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to the channel. Today we're wrapping up the first full week of Godforge Wave 1 Alpha. And man, it has been a whirlwind, a crazy week of so much going on in-game and in life. But I'm looking forward to getting back out there and playing some more. A couple of days ago, Ragewood Gaming put out a video talking about the meta that he has discovered and many of the community have discovered when it comes to the final boss and general harder content inside of Godforge. And I wanted to take a moment to talk about it in the context of the greater game and game design. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Godforge video, and today, whilst there is a little bit of a negative sentiment to it with some improvements I'd like to see, it is all for a good, positive reason, and we're going to try and keep it constructive.
I think that's the first thing to note, is that yes, some of these things that we're talking about right now can come off as negative, but it really isn't for the purpose of being negative. It's the purpose of being constructive. Guys, this is wave 1 of alpha. This is an alpha build, their first release to the community, and there's a lot that they're going to be able to grow upon. I don't remember if it was either their podcast conversation with Adam or their conversation with me, but the concept of barrier, which is a lot of the subject of today's video, came up, and there was a concern from the designer's point of view that stacking barrier wasn't going to be something they were going to be able to do because it might be overpowered. Well, spoiler alert, guys, if you see in the screen down below me, all of these heroes have a massive blue bar on their health meter, as well as a shield, which is the gray. And that blue bar is barrier. And because you can't see any health on any of the heroes, that shows just how large the barrier has grown and the size of shield they also have. Basically, what players have been able to do with another piece of equipment, another item in the game, is stack up so many attacks and maintain a constant just stream of damage that with effects and weapons, they're able to not only keep a barrier strong, but also mitigate any damage growth in the game so they can build up enough protection to never take damage. Let's keep going.
There are topics of conversation today, and the first one, we're going to talk about the elephant in the room, which is the Fafnir boss, and whether the big prize to go to Vegas is simply going to be won by who can keep their computer on the longest.
What I was saying before is the damage can't scale. If you look here, he's actually had his computer on for 3 hours fighting this boss, and he's over 300 million, reaching 400 million damage on him. And guys, you can see this number here, 68,000 damage. That is a crit from one of his strongest attacks. We are not building crazy champions yet, and so it really takes a lot of time to reach this damage. Actually, a couple minutes into the video, he even highlights another member of the community who has reached almost 1.5 billion damage in this exact same concept. You have Shamash, you have Zeus, you have Aphrodite, all going in together, boosting each other, making sure everyone is attacking, bringing down that divinity meter, and just continuing to pump out damage over and over and over again. This is not something that's happening fast. This is something that they are keeping their computers on playing for a very, very, very long time. And remember, everyone, this is alpha, and so we're seeing mechanics, we're seeing changes that are not going to be in existence once the game actually comes out. They are gathering all of feedback, all of the data, seeing who's being used, how much they're being used, and then probably going to make some tweaks. This isn't the topic to bring up and say the word nerf, because are they going to nerf some things? Sure, but this is alpha. Don't forget that. And that we're not experiencing the game as it's going to be. Everything that we're testing, everything that we're trying out, everything that we experience could change iterations between the alpha waves, but even more so will be taken back and basically like workshopped for the full launch. With 67 champions within 4 days, I believe Ragewood said in this video, players are bringing in a meta and building a team that is unkillable. I sat across from the designers and mentioned the fact that with so many heroes, so many passives and weapons and attunement and gear and all of these things, how could they control or at least be more aware of the potentially meta-breaking combos that are going to be created in their game because of all of the different possibilities of build types? And they said that they were designing it in such a way that that wasn't really going to happen. Now, granted, these aren't necessarily passives that are interacting with each other and breaking the game. This is just simple core mechanics of the heroes. And so I think, yeah, some time in the drawing board is really going to be necessary.
1.5 billion.
Ragewood continues on, just basically saying that it is all of these mechanics of multi-attacking and bringing down divinity and boosting divinity and all these things is what enables us to continue to do all of these things to Fafnir and never take damage. And here, this is the main culprit. I, in fact, even went back to my Golden Guardian video, changed the thumbnail because I was no longer giving a full breakdown of him, because really, when it came to level 121 and frankly any other boss, this is the weapon that is the go-to must-have for all attacks, because on attack, this weapon steals 5% divinity. You give each and every one of your heroes one of these weapons, and no hero, no boss can gain divinity fast enough to actually be able to ever use their ultimate ability. And because bosses ramp up their damage in the caverns based off how many ultimates they get out, then their damage will never get ramped up. There's no in cap and turn count. And so it's just never ending. And you basically have to then slowly, once you've said, okay, I've played enough after leaving your computer on for 24 hours, you have to just use basic attacks over and over and over again until Fafnir can finally break down your barrier and kill your heroes. Because this is a percentage steal. And so at the very beginning with low divinity, it's barely stealing anything, but it's going to continue to steal more and more as divinity ramps up. And if you give this to a multi-attack hero where every attack is considered its own separate attack, or if you use, again, like team up mechanics or even Aphrodite's mechanics of boosting that damage and making sure that one other champion attacks more often with her, then yeah, it's still going to be an issue. At least maybe not as prevalent when divinity is at 0, but it can still really prolong a fight. I don't know if it's the weapon that needs to change. I don't know if it's how many of the same weapon that can be brought to a fight needs to change, but clearly this will have to change for game launch.
And that in itself is a problem, in that if you don't have these 3 heroes, it's going to be very hard to compete.
And that's just the thing, is that if you don't get those heroes, if you can't, let's say you can't leave your computer on overnight or even have the time to be able to farm. I've been farming as much as I can, and I finally have Zeus, and I got Aphrodite earlier on, but I still haven't been able to pull Shamash. And that's just odds, right? I could be playing, or you could be playing, or even farming all night long. And if you don't get one of these champions or don't have someone who can provide some kind of barrier, then you're out of luck. And once again, with this one solution that makes your team completely unkillable, this makes the competition at the end of the alpha in wave 3. It means, what's the point? And I know that's not what Fateless wants. And I know that's not what you and me, the community, that's not what we want. And so I would highly anticipate this changing by wave 3, which is great. And so this is it, guys. What has been your experience with Godforge? Because I know that even myself, in the time that I've been playing, I'm almost to level 140. I know there's a lot of people out there that have only reached like 50, 60, 70. How far have you gotten? And what is your feedback when it comes to Godforge Alpha? The reality is that we know that Fateless is actually going to watch this video. They're going to be looking down at the comments below and want to hear back from you, not only in their Discord, but also when you're engaging with your content creators. So guys, make sure and like and subscribe, leave a comment on to what your experience has been, and I will see you in the next one.